Hi, welcome to the Pur'N'Kleen podcast, episode number 32. My name is Rommel, and today I'm here with Phoenix from Orpec Allies, and we're going to be talking about enabling people and productivity. Hey guys, what's up? It's me again, Rommel, and today I'm here with Phoenix. Say hi, Phoenix.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey. So we're gonna be talking about enabling people and productivity, and I don't know. This is usually an issue that most orgs have to deal with at some point because I've had a lot of experiences with previous orgs. I mean, my current org is not the first org that I've ever done, and what ends up happening is usually one person does the load of the work. Like they end up getting most of the work. And if you're the leader, that's kind of expected. You just need to deal with it. But I don't know if that's happened to you, if that sort of reflects your experiences, Phoenix, and have you ever given thought to that sort of situation?
I mean, for me, for our organization, I've kind of got the short end of the stick, right? So this is my first organization. Star Citizen was the first game that, like drew me to do this, get a group of people together. It was just kind of the right time and the right place. And productivity in an organization is a really tough subject, right? Because you want people to be able to feel like it's a fun place, but at the same time, you still need to get things done, right? So it's
right.
It's an interesting subject for me anyway. I know that I end up doing a lot of stuff, and that's because I love doing it. And I love putting stuff into my organization, and I'm totally okay with taking a large part of the load as I am the leader.
Right, but
just sort of the way it's been.
Some of the stuff that's happened to me is because the first org I created, well, it wasn't really an org; it was just like a group for organizing tournaments on the PS3, and then I had a large community for StarCraft 2. And for me, what happened is like I enjoyed doing those things, but I enjoyed it like for 2 years, and then after that, it's like, oh no, like now I need to figure out how to split the work, and people are used to me doing everything. So like, how do I even start? And it's better if you have that foundation where everyone can be productive from the start and collaborate from the start. Than to try and undo it later. That's been my experience. So yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's something we've had to deal with, and sort of getting, like, for us, we have sort of a command structure. That's the way we built our organization, and I found that it's about finding the right people to be in the right spots that want to do that stuff. So we need to find people who are inspired by what we want to do, and they're willing to put in a little bit of time. So it might not be that they're going to do a whole bunch of stuff, but at least then we can get some stuff done. And that's, for me anyway, that's how productivity has worked for our org. We're nowhere near perfect. Like it's something we're constantly working on and changing.
Right. So I wanted to talk about Charles Duhigg. And he came up with a book, and the book's name is Smarter, Faster, Better, The Secrets of Being Productive in Life and Business. And what he did is he looked at research that Google did. And Google had this hypothesis that teams will be more productive if they're made out of the right people. So if we think about a Star Citizen organization, you might think, oh, combat oriented organization, it will be better if we have the best fighter pilots. Like that will make it more productive because everybody will know what they're doing, everybody's really good. And even you have these, I don't know if you watch sports, but like sometimes they create these all-star teams, and they actually perform worse than a team that's really productive and cohesive, even though they're not all-stars, so to speak. And that actually matches up with what Google found with their engineers, which is that Google found no correlation between who you put on the team and the team's productivity, which I think is really interesting.
it is really interesting actually, and I think that's sort of what I found over my what is it year working with the group that we've made, is that it's people who are like-minded and who are interested in the same goals that will work better as a team. That's what I found over my time, and making sure that people feel like they're part of that team is very important as well to productivity.
Right. And that's actually what Google started doing. So they were like, okay, so it doesn't matter who is on the team. So then let's look at how they interact on the team. And they discovered that groups develop sort of unwritten rules of interaction, and those rules can either enable them or prevent them from being productive. So, for example, you will have one person that is the expert on something, and whenever that person talks, everybody just is quiet and listens and does everything that person says, no matter what. Or you might have an org where everyone's expected to take turns, and if it's someone's turn, then you better not interrupt. Or you might have some people that start with gossip or chit chatting. You form these norms, and then you're expected subconsciously, because we're just animals, right? You're expected to sort of adhere to these social norms. And I thought that was really a good insight. And what Google found is that there are actually two norms that had a strong correlation with productivity. And one is the quality and conversational turn taking. So what that means is that everybody gets a chance to speak up. And they found that the best teams at Google are the ones where everybody feels like they can speak up regardless of whether or not they know what they're talking about. And I think that's very interesting, because to me that's just being a human person, like that's just being nice. But I guess I've been in, like, even in my at my job, or in other organizations, in other Star Citizen organizations before I founded mine. I've been in situations where you don't get a chance to speak up. And now that you mentioned the rank structure, my previous organization had a very strict rank structure. They had the commander, or they had admirals, sub admirals, and then I forgot the rank structure. I'm very bad with that. But basically, you could only raise up an idea to your next person up. And if you try to bypass a rank, they would just get completely bonkers. And I just could not deal with that, and I had to leave. But I don't know. Have you thought about the quality and enabling people to take turns and speak up in terms of your organization?
For us anyway, this is sort of the way we work. We have a general command meeting every week. So anybody above a certain rank gets to come together for a meeting. And in that meeting, we treat it as everybody's basically equal. There's no, the ranks kind of go away. So if you're above that certain rank, you get invited to that meeting, and you are allowed to speak your mind. We talk about the topics that we need to, and everybody can bring up an issue that they have. Anything that they see that's going wrong. And we found that that's been a really good way to get sort of the higher level tasks of the organization done. So like our website stuff, if we're planning something in the universe, we do it through that.
And if you don't mind me asking, how many ranks below that group do you guys have? Like is it most people in ORPEC that get access to it, or is it like half and half, or how does that work?
It's about half and half, actually. Okay. It really is. The reason we've sort of stuck it to that upper half is because those are the people who we found are the most active and are interested in the game right now. So basically, the way our command structures sort of come together is the most active, engaged people have ended up at the top. And those are the people who are going to be showing up to the meeting, and they're going to be talking. We have a whole bunch of people who, have met us, have come and talked to us, and then they said, okay, well, the game's not out. I'm going to wait till it comes out, and then I'll come back. And those people are usually hanging around, a recruit, a sergeant, a warden officer. or warrant officer, sorry, and then everybody above that, so the major and above, gets to come to that command meeting. And at that command meeting, you are an equal. You are talking as a group, and we're fixing problems that way. Now, the thing we talked about, it's interesting that we talk about this, because the last command meeting we just had, we talked about having a general meeting every month, and that would include those other people. So it's something that we're definitely leaning towards and coming towards. I think just for the first couple, like, I want to say 6 months that we've done just the command meetings, it's been good to just, get some stuff done and have that formula, and now we want to bring that to everybody else as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, that sounds like your org is really good about letting people speak up. And then the other norm that Google found is highly correlated with productivity is what Charles Duhigg calls high social sensitivity. So this is, can people pick up on how others are feeling about themselves in the group? So can you pick up that someone is angry? Can you pick up that someone's happy, excited, concerned? Whether you see someone that's upset, and you take them aside, or you ask them, you look like you're upset with this idea. Can you tell me what you're thinking? Or you look like you're really excited about this. Can you tell us what we should do next? To sort of push them towards participating more. So the thing about this is that it's really hard to pick up nonverbal cues on a video game, because we're all, communicating over the internet. A lot of times we're not even using webcams. I guess you could use webcams, but most of the times we're relying on our avatars in game, or just on the Discord chat, and you cannot pick up those nonverbal cues. But what Charles Duhigg says is the way you do this is by creating what he calls psychological safety. I don't know if you have any thoughts about this before we move on.
I just want to sort of go back to the fact about no social cues. And this is, as somebody who's, done online communication for a while. Before this, like, even though I didn't have an organization, like, I've worked with other people because I do have a YouTube channel, and we've done some stuff back and forth. You can pick up on when somebody's angry online,
right?
And like text tone will change. Like if you're talking through text, tone will change. Sorry, I can't speak. It's early in the morning. They'll be less active in group discussion. So there are indicators you can find, and those are things that I found in my org too. If somebody is maybe not as active as they usually are, there's something going on, I usually message them and say, hey, how's it going? I'm doing a little bit of a checkup. Are you okay? So there's things like that I think we can do in an org. Just like going back to that point, I don't want to ruin your formula.
No. It's I agree with it actually. That's especially the one where they're suddenly silent. I've noticed that a lot, because you have your highly productive people and then they disappear, or they're suddenly not interacting with you, and you're like, well, did I do something to upset them? Like you can definitely pick that up, or a lot of times you're just filling in the blanks.
Yeah, and then you also have to be careful though, right? Because if you're filling in the blanks, there could be nothing wrong, but you're in your head, you're filling in those blanks. Something's wrong. This person doesn't like me. So you got to be really careful, and you got to make sure that you're checking up on people, because everybody, at the end of the day, in my organization, I want to make sure that everybody feels like they're welcome and they're part of the team. And to me, that's really important, regardless of rank structure.
Right.
Or anything else.
And that's on to the next point, which is what Charles Duhigg calls psychological safety. So how do you create that for those that don't already have it? You might have teammates or members in your org that are hard to work with, but you still want to have them in because they're really valuable. Or even like gamers in general. we can have sort of shorter attention spans sometimes. It's like, oh, there's a new game, let's all switch to the new game, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of getting stuff done, sometimes they can be a little bit hard. Like even people that are inside the same game, like in Star Citizen, like maybe they want to do combat one month and then they want to do another thing like mining next month or transportation next month. Is like it's hard to work with that. But the way that's more about how your org deals with that. But the way you encourage equality in conversation turn and high social sensitivity is by just sort of having those human interaction type things, like you were saying, like, hey, how are you doing, like gossiping a little bit, or allowing people to talk even if they're not an expert. So in Pur'N'Kleen, what we do is we just talk about random shit all the time. Like during lunchtime, we share what we're having for lunch or dinner, or how we're spending our vacations. Like I know some of my teammates went to Turkey, or even our non-gaming hobbies. It's essentially just going out of your way to let people participate in the just basic social interaction, and they'll feel comfortable sharing stuff with you, and it'll enable them to participate in the decision making for the org. And then when somebody does participate and they have success, then it's really important that you celebrate those contributions so that they're encouraged to keep contributing. And again, what this does is it lets people feel okay with sharing their ideas and not worry about what other members of the team might think. It makes just a damn cool team environment where everyone's just trying to do what's best, not for themselves, but for the team in general. So yeah, that's kind of what you were saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Like like at ORPEC, we really want to be a team. Like that's something we're working on. But at the same time, again, we have to remember that it's a group of people. We're not an actual, like PMC, right? We're a group of people that's playing a game, and we all love that game. So we have to make sure that everybody in the group feels like they're welcome and ready to go and excited about the game, while at the same time getting things done, right? So it is a bit of a balance. The big thing that we've done for sharing and talking and things like that has been like a screenshot channel, and you'll find that people will share, okay, well, these are the screenshots of the game I just played last night, and I played it with whoever, and then people say, oh yeah, you play that game too, let me, we should get together and play it sometime. So things like that happen, and just the sharing of what everybody's doing is really neat. Sometimes it's funny, right? Because we kind of have this real world stuff going on, and then we have our organization stuff. And sometimes people are fascinated when I say, like, I have 40 different friends from all around the world, and we share and talk about stuff all the time, right? And I do see everybody in my organization as a friend, because you can't not be in a group and not end up like that, right? Like every now and then people are going to get mad at each other, but that stuff works its way out. So that's what we try to do anyway. I don't know if that reflects what you guys
right
do. I know
Yeah, no, that's totally, it's a little bit like social hacking in a way, because on the one side you're the leader and you want people to be productive and happy, but it's just, to me, it's just basic human decency. Like if you are going about it like, I'm just gonna talk about these things because I want my team to be productive, like that's the wrong way to think about it. To me, it's more like I just want to have fun and like be cool with all these people who are we're together doing this thing. It's if you're disingenuous about this, then it's going to be very clear. And so now I want to touch on specific ways that you can make your team more productive. So you can make sure everyone on your team says something or can say something. So let's go with ORPEC allies. Um,
It's
or
just
sorry, with
it's
Orpec.
just it's Orpec. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
the Orpec allies is our ally Discord chat. It's yeah. No, sorry.
Right. No, no, yeah, sorry. Let's go with Orpec. Um, uh, you have something really cool where you mentioned about the people above a certain rank, they can already share, but it's not like people below the rank cannot share. They just have to work through those ranks, right? So they have the ability to say something, or they have the ability to contribute. They just have to work for it, right?
I wouldn't call it working for it. Like if somebody comes to me who is a sergeant and says, "Hey, I have this cool idea," I'm not going to tell them to shut up and tell it to their superior. Like I hang out in the general chat in my organization. Like I'm not going to hide in a high tower. Like you can't talk to me if you're not above this rank, because especially with new people who are coming in, if somebody's joining an organization and they seem like the leaders up on like this high tower, like it's there's a disconnect, right? And it creates a rivalry and an other group, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing you don't want to happen. You don't want there to be an other in your group. You want to be one group. You don't want there to be segregations in your group. And I mean, in a group, certain people are going to play certain games, and little groups sort of start to develop. But at the same time, you want it to sort of be one group, like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it I think it gets harder the larger the group is. So at Pure and Clean, we purposely try to keep it small so it makes it easier. But just so I get an idea, how many members do you guys have on Orpec?
We have 42,
Okay.
and we've basically looked ahead as a team, and we've said at this point we're not going to continue accepting applications. I think it's like 100 people, we said, and even like 100 seems really big. And like for me personally, I think 75 would be a good number. But for me in my organization, there's two guild leaders, right? So it's kind of like a give and take situation. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been an interesting
Well,
give and
it's
take.
just like for us, it's 50. We actually discussed this, and the thing is, like, after a certain number, as a leader in the organization, your job sort of shifts. Like, you're no longer doing things, you're more managing things. And for me personally, I'm not that good at managing, so it's like, well, I don't even want to try it. I don't want to learn how to delegate. Um, but for other people, it works, and I think even 75 is probably okay to make sure that everybody feels accepted. But after, like, I worry about they have a whole different thing going, like groups like Test Squadron, or these groups that have thousands of members. um, that everybody that's there, like, they have a shared goal, and they can be productive, but it's totally different from what it
It's a
is in
different
a small group.
it's a different kind of productivity.
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely different kind of productivity. There's different goals there. It's not let's as a group do something. It's let's profit, and this is the group that's going to help me do it. So it's a completely different. Not to like make those groups look bad or put them down or anything. I totally get like why you would want a large organization, because when we look at the game that Chris Roberts is building, it's absolutely huge, and having a large group, if you can manage it properly, mind you, will be an asset. But to me, at a certain point, I lose that personal connection with people, like, and I don't want to do that. I want my group to be able to be a tight, cohesive team. Like, I don't want it to be a huge group.
Right. Yeah. And going back to ways you can make your team more productive, I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but because you already touched on this, it's like if somebody hasn't spoken up in a little while, you just stop and ask them why. You have to keep mental tracking of who's been contributing and when they have stopped, so that you can ask them what's going on. Like, is there something? Are you having a hard time, or is it something in your life, or maybe there's nothing wrong? just set them aside, and then don't do it publicly. Like, obviously, don't shame them in front of the entire group. Um, but again, what it does is it creates that psychological safety where people feel okay with talking to you.
Absolutely. And we've had problems in our organization where someone has to say, okay, I need to step back. Something's going on in my life, and we just temporarily you know made sure that they were in a place they could be and they felt comfortable, and we can just move on. Like that's all we need to do.
Yeah.
And it's, again, not making it public. Just let it happen. Let it be a safe place, kind of thing.
Right. Because on the flip side, if you let people speak up, but you always ignore or dismiss their opinions because you think they're stupid, then you're just going to get the opposite effect, right? Like, people are going to clam up and they're like, I'm just going home.
Yeah, and I think the good thing about having a group discussion is the group can discuss things. Like, having a discussion, an internal discussion in your group, is extremely important. Being able to talk things out and you know um, just have ideas being thrown out there and discussed is very important, because in that way people feel like they're sharing their ideas, but then at the same time they feel like they can help mold the ideas of others and make sure that it fits for the whole group, right? That's the way it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, uh, yeah, it's hard to talk about recent things because we don't want to reveal like internal discussions, right? But
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I can think of a recent situation in our org where we had a disagreement, and the way we dealt with it is we I was like, okay, show me the numbers. Like, how many people in Star Citizen are in this group that you're talking about that you want to devote so much time to? And the nice thing is that we're part of this group called Cognition Corp, which is I think you guys are also part of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great group, and they provide a lot of tools that give us insight at the aggregate level, so we can see, like, hey, like 70% of the people in Cognition are going to do combat, so perhaps our attention would be better served towards those groups. And then this group that you were talking about is like 0%. Like, nobody necessarily wants to do it, at least in Cognition, and assuming that Cognition is a good representation of the verse. Then you have those discussion, and it's not like you dismiss their idea, but you have to prioritize.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree with that.
So yeah. So I don't know if you want to share something else. Otherwise, we're gonna wrap it up. It's been 20 minutes.
No, man, no, that's been good. I think it was a good discussion.
Yeah. So thanks so much for stopping by, Phoenix. Again, ORPEC is your org. Does that stand for something? I forgot.
It's the Outer Rim Protection and Exploration Corporation.
Awesome.
It's a long name. Long name. That's why we made a short acronym. Works way better.
Definitely. And how can they reach you?
You guys can either reach me through my Ally Discord, and you can do that through our RSI page. There's like a giant link there, or you can go to the website, which I'm pretty sure you'll put in the description,
Mm-hmm.
and they can message us through there.
Yeah, it's orpec.engine.com, but I'll put it in the description.
Yeah,
So that's all we have to say about enabling people in productivity. I hope you guys found this useful. Let us know what you think by dropping a comment in the section below. The Pur'N'Kleen podcast is a free Star Citizen podcast aimed at tackling the business side of the verse. Phoenix, again, it was nice talking to you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for letting me come on.
All right, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next Monday. Sometimes you just gotta fire your guildies, don't you think?
That seems a little harsh.
Yeah, well, not all the time they behave properly. So if they're being dickholes, then you gotta fire them.
So you're just gonna fire everyone you don't like?